Good morning and welcome to the Morning Skate, a new daily pick podcast right here on the Wager Talk platform. My name is Andrew McGinnis. You can find my work over at sportsmemo.com. Each and every day I'll be bringing you a podcast with some NHL plays right here on every podcast network. You can also find this on YouTube each and every day. So we're going to go over different games, picks, trends, news in the NHL. This is kind of just my opportunity, my spotlight to kind of just give out some free picks, talk about what I'm finding right now trending in the NHL, things that are working for me, things that aren't working for me. It's going to be, just 10 to 15 minutes or less of just information and, possibly, 1, 2, 3 picks a day. So we've got a very, very small slate on the card, but nonetheless, I am Andrew McGinnis and I'm looking forward to bringing this to you every single day. Of course, like I said, you can find my work at sportsmemo.com, but this is going to be found on the Wager Talk platform. So nonetheless, we'll look at the first game here. We're going to look at the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the New York Rangers. Now, this game is very interesting for me because, obviously you look at Tampa Bay, they're so far ahead of each team. I mean, they're way ahead in the East. They're dominating. They've been dominating Western Conference teams as well, and they don't really seem to be kind of letting up whatsoever. I mean, this Tampa Bay team right now looking for a franchise best 10th straight victory. Rangers will play the Bolts after trading 2 of their top 4 scorers, of course, Kevin Hayes and Mats Zuccarello. And, that's the thing. After trade deadline, I find it's very, very easy to get a grasp on teams, kind of understand where they're going, where they're headed, what direction they're taking their franchise in, whether it's a rebuild, whether it's kind of a push for the playoffs, whether it's really loading up for a push for the cup. You kind of get that feel about what you really think every team is kind of trying to make their reputation, for lack of better words. So, I mean, you look at this Tampa Bay Lightning team. They've got numerous players just lighting it up every single night, but I want to look at the top 6. I want to look at the left winger, Palat, Stamkos, JT Miller up there on the top line, getting it done on a daily basis. But here, look at the second line, and that's more intriguing to me. I know we've got, the one and only famous Steven Stamkos up there in the top line. Let's talk about this second line. Tyler Johnson, Braden Point, and Nikita Kucherov. I mean, you can't really say enough about this line. With Johnson, you get speed. You get the ability to forecheck. You get the ability to back check. You get that perfect passing ability. You get that sweet shot that he has. With Point, you get a big body. You get a guy that can make a difference, get in front of the net. He's that 1-2 punch with Kucherov. And of course, we know Kucherov already reached the 100-point marker. We're still, 19, 18 games left in the season for most teams, and he's still dominating. I mean, Kucherov's a player that really, I love to see well-rounded players. He can really do it all, both ends of the ice. And I think that you look at a player like that and they improve every year because they're not just improving one aspect of their game. We know Kucherov has, great hands, stick handling ability. We know he can shoot. We know he can skate. We know he's a good teammate. We know he's got that chemistry. And just this team has been outstanding. And I also want to look at their defensive pairs because, you've got Dan Girardi and Victor Hedman, the top pairing. And, of course, you got guys like McDonough and Sergachev, Stroman back there. And they're holding things down for this Tampa Bay Lightning team because not only have they been dominating teams, but they've also been playing pretty exceptional defensive hockey as well. And a lot of that credit goes to the goaltending with Andrei Vasilevsky and Louis Domingue. I mean, when you've got a goalie like Andrei Vasilevsky as your number 1 guy, and then you can go to Louis Domingue as your number 2 and get some solid outings from him, that certainly should mean a lot to you. And I think it definitely has. They've looked great with him in nets as well. But, looking at this kind of game here, I think what's supposed to happen really should happen. I think, this Lightning team, 11-0-2 on the month. I mean, they haven't lost in regulation on this month of February. They're averaging 3.94 goals on the season. And in the last 3 meetings against the Rangers, they're averaging 5.33 goals per game in that span. Meanwhile, the Rangers just 2.67. Looking at this Rangers lineup now after trading away Zuccarello, they look almost lost. I mean, it's hard to find that goal scorer. I mean, you got guys like Zibanejad, Kreider, Vesey, Strome, Nemistrov. Those guys are on the top lines, but those aren't really the it factor guys. Those aren't the guys that are going to bring it every night and you can count on to score some goals for you. It's plain and simple. And as far as goaltending goes, I've been saying it all year, but I don't think that, Henrik Lundqvist really has that it factor he used to have. I think, Georgiev is kind of getting into the mix a little more for the Rangers. Definitely because they're not really an elite team. But he's definitely done a good job of settling in, but I just think Tampa Bay will be all over them. If they don't get, 40, 45 shots on the Rangers, I'd be absolutely shocked. And just looking at things here, I mean, Tampa Bay easily, dominating teams over that stretch, over that winning streak that they have. Pittsburgh, they beat them 5-4. Florida 5-2. Calgary 6-3. Dallas 6-0. Montreal 3-0. Columbus 5-1. Philly 5-2. Buffalo 2-1. LA 4-3. I mean, they can beat good teams, they can beat bad teams, they can beat slow teams, they can beat fast teams. This team flat out knows how to win. Now, Tampa Bay, 6-2 straight up in their last 8 games, playing on the road against the New York Rangers. 5-1 straight up in their last 6 in general against the Rangers, and 4-2 against the spread in their last 6 when playing against the New York Rangers. So what we are going to do in this one, we're getting some decent value. It's easy to take the puck line with Tampa Bay a lot of the nights. I really, really do like this spot. They're playing at Madison Square Garden. They're on the road, but I just don't see who can score. I don't see who can get the job done for the Rangers. So I'm going to look at Tampa Bay on the puck line, -1.5, plus 125 is the kind of the spot here we're going to give out for this game. So that is my first pick. Tampa Bay, -1.5, as they look to extend their streak, go for a franchise best 10th straight victory. So that's the first pick we're going to go here. And as I flip my notebook here, once again, I just want to remind you guys that I'll be here every single day on the Wager Talk platform, giving out a new pick, giving out some new hockey information, talking hockey. And the next thing we're going to go over here is a little bit of a different kind of game. This is not really one that I'm as high on, but this is one that I wanted to talk about because it has some interest to me based off the matchups and the way that each team is really trending. If you look at these teams, we're talking about the Chicago Blackhawks and the Anaheim Ducks. And, you look at this, after winning 10 of 12 games, they've hit a small little speed bump here, the Blackhawks, the 2 straight losses, but you've got guys like Patrick Kane, literally, looking like an MVP candidate right now. You've got guys like Jonathan Toews, the captain of this team, playing great, exceptional two-way hockey right now. Alex DeBrincat, he's absolutely stepping things up. 8 goals in his last 9 games. And realistically, you look at what this Ducks team is doing, and you really got to wonder, when's the next time they're going to compete in a game? When's the next time they're going to keep a game close? Every single game seems to be going under the total. Chicago averages 3.35 goals per game on the season. Anaheim just 2.21 goals per game. This team, we don't know where their goal scorers are. We're going to have to send out a search party for them. We cannot find them, and it's plain and simple. I mean, Chicago 4-1 straight up their last 5 games on the road. 5-1 ATS their last 6 games on the road. 10-4 in their last 14 games. They've got the job done. I mean, Anaheim struggling. 5-20 straight up in their last 25 games. This is a team that I don't really want to, be backing whatsoever. They lost 4-0 to Vancouver. They lost 2-1 to Edmonton. They lost 2-1 to Calgary. They lost 3-0 to Boston. They lost 6-2 to Philly. They lost 4-0 to Ottawa, 4-1 to Montreal. This is a team you do not want to back whatsoever. So what we are going to do here is grab a small little piece of the Chicago Blackhawks in regulation. And I just think, this is a pick here where you got to wonder, this Blackhawks team making a name for themselves. They're stepping things up. And we got a guy like Corey Crawford who sat out 47 games last season with a concussion, and he was a little bit injured this year. We're expected to see him back in nets tonight, and I expect him to be that elite goaltender we know he can be. We're going to go ahead with Chicago Blackhawks plus 120 in regulation here as our second pick here on the Pick Podcast. And that's going to wrap it up. This is a very short podcast here. My name is Andrew McGinnis. For the Wager Talk platform, representing sportsmemo.com. Want to thank you so much for tuning in. I have an NBA 4% play up on the website tonight. You can find myself on Twitter at McGinnis Picks, MCINNIS Picks. And I'll see you tomorrow with our next pick. So once again, Tampa Bay on the puck line and Chicago Blackhawks in regulation plus 120.